Okay, there we go. It's live.
We're live.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone in the chat and watching. And welcome back to the Frame100 podcast, season 3, episode 9. I am joined by my fellow co-hosts, Chris from @Goldbrick Productions.
What's up, everybody? I gotta point out this one comment though. This is my favorite comment of the entire stream so far. Mr. Rio4 says, it's easier for a minifigure to go through the eye of a needle than for CGI to get into brick film heaven. But we're going to tackle this today. That's what we're going to do.
Oh my gosh.
Nice, nice. I'm also joined by Matt, aka Bricktail Studios, who might be AFK. Jared from @DukeBrick Studios?
I think so.
Yeah.
What's
what do
up?
you mean you think so? It's your own thing. Jeez.
It's just Dubrick, man.
Okay, just DukeBrick. Okay.
It's Dubrick,
One and only.
dude. Like, totally.
And we are joined by our two guests today, Lainey
Hello.
and Shawarma. He's the guy from the post-credit scene from Avengers.
Oh yeah, he is.
It's where he made his debut.
He made it to IMDb for that, so yeah.
I want to actually put Shawarma on IMDb and link to his channel and see who picks up on it.
Are you talking about?
We've got a big broad topic to discuss this evening. Chris, do you wanna lead us into the topic?
Sure, but before we go into the topic, just a couple news items. First off, a big congrats to the one and only Rio Force for becoming the new admin of Bricks in Motion. We're really excited. He's a great guy. He made that awesome comment. And on top of that, he's just been a staple in the community. So congrats, man. And we're looking forward to what's ahead. Don't mess up.
Congrats.
And secondly, nope, can't talk about that one. But we can mention that contest season is not over as we all thought it was going to be, because there's a lot more stuff on the way from, looks like, pretty much all the websites. And we will be covering that too, so it's going to be fun. Also, just a couple of contest-related things. The 8x8x8 closed, thanks to everyone who entered. The LEGO Ninjago Rebrick competition, Continue the Chase, also closed. Results were announced. Congrats to you guys. You did a great job. And on top of that, I don't have a sarcastic note to end on top of. That was kind of it. So thanks, guys. You make the community awesome.
Woo!
Now we're going to talk about some things that are controversial because that's fun. But this is going to be a lighter controversial.
Also, I think we should give a shout out to Penta because of all the good stuff.
Yes,
He did do well.
absolutely. Yep, because Penta stepped down from being admin of Bricks in Motion. He has been a staple in the brick film community. He's been a historian, and he is all around just a great guy, incredibly supportive. So in the same way that we're excited that Rio is stepping up, we're a little saddened that Penta's stepping down, but we're still looking forward to see what he's doing now. As far as I know, he's going to keep brick filming, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Penta is my favorite.
Penta is great.
God bless
Penta.
Penta.
Is the man.
Actually,
I want it to be a song now. God bless Penta.
Penta's the suggested favorite brick filmer, isn't he, on Bric-a-Brac? You know when you fill in like your preferences, and it's just like, oh, what's your favorite film? What's your favorite brick filmer? And the suggested one is Penta. I think that's quite good.
You know, there's a joke about that. I can't remember exactly who it was, but there's a joke that one of the admins. Oh dang! I'm trying to remember the details now. I have to go look this up before I screw up the lore.
Don't screw it up.
Also, as DBS said in the chat, sub to Pongal. It's the greatest brick filming joke ever.
It's a joke?
Actually, right. It's entirely serious. We aren't throwing parrots and trash cans here. This is for real. Anyways, fun times. But yeah, let's kick into the topic because there are two great films to open this up that came in within weeks of each other, and things just landed perfectly. So, CGI, brick films. Let's get talking. For a little bit of background, there was a film recently released by LEGO. It was LEGO Star Wars: The Last Jedi in 2 minutes. And as if that movie wasn't controversial enough, the recap of the movie was also controversial. It's like Star Wars is built on nothing but controversy these days. What in the world? I'm going to go ahead and link this here in the chat for you guys. So you'll notice that unlike the other recaps that they did, like the beloved, I forget the exact title, but you know the one. Once upon a time, as a boy, lived in the desert. The desert was pretty boring. Blah, 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 blah. This one is all CGI, and everyone lost their minds. And then there was another recent film that was released. Everyone got hyped about this, and everyone is just, woo! And guess what? It's also CGI.
Guess what, kids?
And
Dreams
now-
do come true.
They do come true. And
So
one came
first
true.
off, if you haven't seen the Squad 42 trailer, you're in luck because I'm about ready to link this. Rio,
If
you're
you
going to
don't
drink a
know what
lot of
Squad
water.
42 is,
Controversy.
What the hell happened to your childhood? Like,
Pretty much. And so, yes, Spug is due. I will pronounce this name right one of these days. Released Squad 42 Dissolution, the trailer, 2018. And this thing looks freaking awesome. But I remember when I first watched it, I was like, okay, something about this seems different. What? Oh, this isn't traditional brick filming. This is CGI. And thus, the topic was born. So let me take it away. I said controversy enough times. I need to take sips of water, like Rio said.
stay hydrated. Stay hydrated, kid.
Stay hydrated, my
yeah,
friends.
I mean, I think this is actually, we've got a really nice case study here, and I think, how do we want to do this, guys? Do we want to talk about the films individually and then go into the topic?
Yes, I like that decision.
We could all
Okay,
just
Jared, you kick it off, Jared. You go for the fastest and funniest. Give us your thoughts.
That was the title.
Fastest and funniest. Here we go. Spug is due. Squad 42. Great CGI. Beautiful. Amazing. Lighting was perfect. Star Wars The Last Jedi recap in 2 minutes. Eh.
I think it's such a shame because the first one, I think the first fastest and funniest story was the whole original trilogy, yeah?
Yep.
That was really good, and it was really good because, and this is, I'm going to liken these to the Home Alone films. The first one was the original idea.
That's a weird analogy.
And it's a classic. And then what they did was they made exactly the same film again and again, only not quite as good because it wasn't the original. And I also really like
surprisingly accurate
because those sets were impressive because they were all built from Lego. And yeah, I just didn't really enjoy. I mean, obviously, it must have been probably quicker to make by doing partially CGI sets, but just something about it was just sort of off for me. I don't know what it was. I can't really put my finger on it, but yeah, I mean, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about the Fastest and Funniest series.
I think that The Last Jedi in 2 minutes, it does not look as good as Gareth has done it. But I think Gareth has spent more time, working on this for the past, I think, couple of years. But it just looks like this Last Jedi one. It looks like the graphics in like a Lego game, honestly, or maybe even worse.
Wow. Right, actually.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's what kills it. It's just the look. I mean, I really like the stop motion kind of feel it gives it, but the look and quality of it kind of ruins it for me.
You know what I think would have probably helped with that? Because Trevor jumped on to not jump on earlier. And one thing he mentioned in terms of CGI and brick filming is the really obvious one that we did not think of until he mentioned it. The Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie, the Lego Ninjago movie. And I think maybe The Last Jedi in 2 minutes would have worked well if they followed that simulated stop motion style, like scratch up the bricks, uneven, harsh lighting, stuff like that. Maybe I would have been fooled the first time around that way.
Yeah.
And in Garrett's work, I can kind of see bits and pieces of that. It's kind of like glares I would know would only work off of plastic bricks and a couple of scratches here and there.
Yeah.
Noise, lighting noise. That's
I'll say now that I'm here, I'll say that as far as getting that realistic look, it's not a very easy thing for amateurs to do. You can add a glossy shader to your bricks and it still won't look quite right. You can add a bump map to it and it still won't look quite right. There's a lot that goes into rendering stuff for photorealism, and it's certainly not easy. So, at this point, I've kind of just somewhat settled for kind of more of the matte look. In part,
you do like a matte look, don't you, Matt?
M-A-T-T, matte. That look just kind of fits because it's what people have been doing for so long. As far as brick films go.
Yeah. Well, here's my thought on that. It's like when I see CGI, I think people make like CGI for stop motion animations not to make them look as realistic as they can. Because I think making CGI for brick films is a different situation than making CGI for like a feature film in the Hollywood industry. But I think people really shouldn't try to make it as realistic in a brick film. I think they should try to make it look like make it look like a brick film, I guess, in a way, and not. It's a hard discussion, honestly, to really bring up and kind of debate on, in my opinion. But
Well, I guess it sort of comes back to the is CGI, sort of Blender, that sort of thing. Is that really brick filming? Well, yes, it's sort of using digital bricks, but it's not stop motion in the traditional sense. So,
to Rio's question, Rio asked, "Has any of us ever done CGI?" And Tom and Matt are very, very well done in CGI.
Yeah, I'm very versed in that.
I have touched it, and then I have not touched it since.
That's actually how we met, Jared, I think.
Isn't your pinned tweet on your Twitter something about CGI?
Yeah, that's my pinned tweet on Twitter. You should go like it.
Yep. What about you, Lainey and Shorma? Do either you guys use CGI, or have you
never
had someone do it for you and put it in your film or anything like that?
Never.
Here it is, Jared. Some people are fans of Blender. Some, like me, are not.
It's true. It's very true.
Well, we had another guy on TPF. He was playing around with Blender. It was Lainey was 8-bit, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He keeps changing his nickname like every time I turn around. He was 8-bit, then he was 8-bit Soda, then he was Cool Lad, then he was Not Rio, then he was a whole lot of other things.
Oh, so. No, not Rio.
Was known as Toast.
Oh, he was Toast. And then not Rio was... Okay, we're getting off subject, yeah. But yeah, there have been some brick filmers I noticed have started playing around more with CGI. Another example we brought up, just to kind of... as we're looking through the whole issue, we started realizing, wait a minute, this whole CGI thing this is an equation that started a while ago. Yeah. So the video I just linked is a guy named Dino5500, Lego World War II Battle of Hill 30, and this is not brick filming at all. Now it looks pretty cool, but let's get our genre straight here. This is definitely animation, but not stop motion or brick filming. And it's pretty sick. It's actually really cool. I'd love to play around with something like this.
The one thing I like about that really
in the context of brick films.
I've watched this guy for a long time now, and it's been really nice to see him sort of grow in as you can see the evolution of like his model for his minifigures and stuff, and the way he animates. The length of the animation increases every time the quality goes up. So that's been really nice. I really respect this guy because, like we said earlier, if any of you guys have dabbled in CGI, you know sort of how time-consuming these things can be, and yeah, his work is really impressive, despite what I imagine.
Never dabbled in it.
Now,
what I don't understand is why he stopped with the Lego at the minifigures. Like right now, I mean, I don't know if it's been brought up yet, but Gareth Spugastu's new trailer for Squad 42-6 looks amazing, by the way. Definitely give that a watch. But everything in that film, 100% of it is made of Lego bricks. Digital Lego bricks, but Lego bricks nonetheless.
Yep, definitely feels like a Lego movie in that aspect.
Exactly, and it looks like a proper Lego world. Yeah. And that's the thing. This guy, he didn't go that that extra mile, and I'm not sure why, because there's not really all that much to see either. Just a simple studscape with a couple trees would suffice.
Granted, that one was in 2016. Here's one of his new ones from 2018.
Okay,
and I gotta refresh the chat right now. And this is an example of one that he made the background work in Lego. Like this whole thing is brick built. Now, granted, a lot of it's base plates, so it's kind of cheating, but we all use our base plates.
Hey,
so you can see kind of a progression over time.
I'm a proponent of base plates, so I can't exactly.
I love base plates. I don't know why Lego keeps trying to do away with the base plates. Knock it off, Lego.
Okay, so yeah, I'll definitely give him credit where credit's due here. This is all Lego. This is as it should be. Funny enough, he's actually got a bunch of Lego Star Wars videos. Two that I know of. One was actually Republic Commando stuff, which, I'd be lying if I said that didn't somewhat inspire Zero Hour, because, I wanted to do, something like that, but that actually really did, the level design justice, and also, felt like a proper Lego world versus just like, like what if you took the game Republic Commando and swapped the character models for minifigures? That's what that kind of amounts to. And then he's also got the campaign story from Star Wars Empire at War, Forces of Corruption, it looks like, with Tiber Zahn and the Zahn Consortium. So some interesting stuff there. And, I totally respect him for going there with those video games, because, that's one of the things I loved about the older Star Wars games, is that they had great storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah, I started to dislike them once they started talking. Honestly, when it started, the charm sort of deteriorated.
Oh yeah, we've had this discussion before in our Discord chat that the Lego games have really faded in quality. Like you said, Shawarma, when they started talking. I don't remember. I think it was like Lego Batman 2 or something like that.
No, it was,
that's when it started.
That's interesting that you guys didn't like that, because I actually really liked the fact that they started talking.
It's pretty polarizing. A lot of things at Lego, come to think of it.
Literally, the mumbling in the original Lego Star Wars video games was what kind of inspired the the mumbling, kind of grunty talking that you hear in Zero Hour.
I love the mumbles. I'm a big fan of the mumbles.
Somebody posted a great comment today on that video. He just said it 1 minute 44 seconds in. Understood, sir. Thanks for the clear and totally understandable instructions. It's when the trooper appears on the hologram.
It's all hilarious. But because they especially after they started talking, I realized that they didn't actually use the same actors as in the movie, because they couldn't. But when you couldn't see that as much when they were grunting. It was when they started talking that you realized how unreal the actors were, and they weren't legit, So
that's precisely why I did it the way I did in Zero Hour, because you can pretty much use anybody as a replacement voice actor if need be.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to sound somewhat vaguely like the original actor, and it's fine.
Yep. Because Austin told me about some of the voice acting problems he had with Guns of Cordis, because it's been such a long development for it that some of the voice actors disappeared before they had all their lines in.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
Disappearing in the development of one film, what's to say that people won't disappear in between films?
Yep. Which is one advantage I can definitely see to doing the CGI brick film style. You can crank out a lot of these, keeping your voice actors, prep episodes in advance, and just run through the motions of actually animating it. You don't have to worry about, do I have the bricks for this? Of course you do. So you have to worry about whether or not your computer can handle yet another rendering. Which, I'm starting to see some stuff here in the chat about how, CGI, well, it's not brick filming. Yeah, it definitely isn't. But, from a more, I guess you could say, economic angle, this is starting to become a bit of a norm in Lego community. Like, this is kind of stuff that is drawing people's attention now that Lego has up and made one of their own. And now that Gareth has been working on it too, I'm expecting we're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing. And so now we got to ask ourselves, well, CGI in brick films, where do the two line up? Do they fit in? Where do they cross over? Where do we go from here?
Here's my question. Putting Gareth and his brick film aside, or his CGI brick film aside, do you think CGI helps a brick film out, or do you think it's pretty detrimental to the whole film as a whole?
Yep. Is there some overlap between CGI films and regular brick films?
The thing I've always said about CGI being used in brick films is, I think if you look at animation, physical brick filming, for example, sort of as the brick filmer progresses through their career, their quality increases in sort of a linear fashion. Most of the time. Whereas I think with CGI, it can be at a very base level for quite a while, and then all of a sudden there's quite a big gap between good CGI and pretty average CGI. If you know what I'm saying. I mean, this is pretty bad, but like using myself per se as a case study, some of my really early CGI attempts when I was still trying to get Blender to work, like the lighting's all off, and things like Star Destroyer, for example, the engine effects might not look great. Whereas if you look at Matt's CGI that he's done for Dead Space, that's quite impressive. It's something impressive to look at. I think if you can make CGI something that looks good and you want to look at it, rather than it's just sort of a place filler for something that could be better and it's just sort of representing what's happening, then I think then CGI works. Whereas in the former case, maybe not so much, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the thing with CGI is like it has to work right. Like it's like 90% it works, or you have that small 10% that it's okay. It'll be fine.
I think a good rule of thumb to follow is, if it's something that you can do in the physical brick, don't do it in CG.
Yeah, right.
And it's kind of what people say, about the Star Wars films. People, bemoan all of the CG sequences in the prequel trilogy. Yeah. And, I think the sequel trilogy has a bit more of a nice balance of that, where they went with the puppet Yoda for episode 8.
Yep. And CGI kind of has just a bad rep in general, because the only times where you notice it in standard movies is when it's being done wrong. Now, when you see CGI in a movie where it's done right, you don't know it's CGI, or you don't think that it's CGI. Yeah. Just in the moment, you trick yourself into thinking, oh, this is regular animation. What do you know?
Right.
Yeah, that's a really nice quote. That's kind of like, I think Ben Burt said that about sound design. Good sound design means you shouldn't notice the sound. And that you're totally right there, Chris. Good CGI, you shouldn't notice the CGI.
That's what web design professor would say. Everyone repeat me, subtle. Like, well, I can acknowledge that. Now, one thing he did mention that's interesting, in his opinion, CGI is just a different media/art form. Totally agree, but a lot of art forms will collide with each other, as you've seen. For instance, graphic design collides a lot with brick filming. If you're doing your intro and title cards, often it's easier to just do a graphic. Like, I know Trevor, he animates all his intros. They look great. I don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
But I'm a better graphic designer than I am a live brick film intro animator. So
that's fair.
That's the path I take. The question is, where do these art forms interface, how they work well, and how do we as a community respond to some of these trends?
I mean, here's an interesting thing.
I'm sorry, can you hear this idiot in the background?
What we sound
a little bit.
What's going on?
Somebody is like something.
I thought it was a bird.
What?
I thought it was a bird just commenting about CGI.
Yeah.
It's a CGI bird. Someone's trying to prove it works.
Anyhow, what I was going to say was, what's interesting to think about is that, as brick filmers, our entire art form, which is, stop motion animation, started out basically being used for special effects. Like the Tim Burton style, standalone stop motion films weren't a thing for, much farther down the road in, its lifespan. Because again, like if you look at like the original King Kong, for example, like that whole, all of the sequences in which you see King Kong, Kong is a giant, CG puppet. And basically they used very early editing techniques, by actually cutting apart film to put like the girl in Kong's hand, basically. And that was like early special effects. So when you consider that stop motion started out as, a special effect thing, and that has always really been the point of CG, was that, you get people like George Lucas who came along with Industrial Light and Magic. And I mean, he literally made Star Wars to try and show off what can be done, with advanced special effects, especially with the prequels. That was really a show reel for CGI. So, it's
made results, but definitely still a show reel.
When you think about it, like almost none of what we do is traditional live action filmmaking.
Yeah.
So at that point, you kind of factor that into the conversation of what is a brick film, I think.
I think. Okay, go on.
Okay,
Matt,
I really
go on.
like that. That's a good angle.
Yeah, no, you got me thinking there, Matt, because I can't remember who said it earlier, but basically the message was, if you can do it physically, do it physically, don't do it CGI. And I was thinking, oh, okay, I guess if you're doing a space scene, you do it CGI. But then actually what you said there, Matt, sort of sparked this off. Is originally all the CGI scenes in Star Wars were stop motion. So like the AT-ATs on Hoth was stop motion, the
Probe droid.
yeah, the probe droids stop motion.
A lot of the like the ships and stuff in
Yeah,
They're models.
original trilogy, those were just models.
and there's a brick filmer on YouTube. I can't remember what his name is. Maybe you can help me out in the comments. And the way he does his space scenes basically is he gets the physical models, so say the Millennium Falcon, he'll sit it in front of a green screen and he'll sort of move the camera around the ship to make it look like the ship is moving and then key everything else out.
Yeah.
And it really works. But obviously that ship is physical. It's not stop motion technically because he's videoing it, but it's not computer generated. Well, I mean, at least the model isn't. So
And see, that's the thing. The fact that part of it is going to be computer generated, whatever you key out the background to, that's all done in post. So I think that's where it's kind of 50-50. It's a stylization choice at that point. If you're doing something that's like in the sky or in space, if you want to make something fly, you have two options. You either key it out or, rig removal, something like that, or you do it in CG. And I think both are equally excellent choices. I think you can get a little bit more out of CGI then because, you're not limited by the size of your Lego collection and, the space that you have to work with. But
Indeed.
At the end of the day, I think it's a stylization choice.
I don't know. It's so easy, like in the end, to do CGI. You don't have to blister your hands or bleed or suffer.
Well, not necessarily. One of the big constraints of CGI is processing power. Matt has a beast of a computer at his place. If I were trying to run it, say, off of my Mac, for instance, I probably can't do what he can.
Yeah, and even some of the more modest scenes that I did for Guns of Cordis would just absolutely cripple my machine. And I've got an i7 7700K, I think, and a GTX 1080. So that's it's about as good as you can get with it being still consumer grade.
Yep. Unless you want to get like a NVIDIA Titan 5.
Oh man!
The bad news is $3,000. The good news is free shipping.
I mean, at that point, if you're looking to render, just go with a Quadro.
This week on Tech 100, we're discussing graphics cards.
There you go. I'm going to share something.
Rio just mentioned render farms. That's another option. I've never used something like that myself. And maybe part of it's because I felt like, it's probably not even worth looking into because for whatever reason, whenever I transfer a Blender project over from, one computer to another, something always gets messed up. So if I'm going to upload a project into the cloud to render, I just feel like it's going to screw it up somehow and I'll be wasting my money.
Pretty much.
So I still have yet to figure out how that works, but I know for a fact it does. You just have to figure out how to do it.
One of the problems, though, is just money. Like, I know Megabricks has a rendering farm, but I believe that costs a certain amount, or there's some sort of hoop you got to go through.
Yeah.
Which is the, that's one thing about animation. There's people look at it and go, oh, it's so much easier compared to stop motion. Whoa, slow down. Everything has a cost.
Yeah, and, the depth of knowledge that you need
knowledge
3G is pretty incredible. I mean, stop motion is, extremely straightforward compared to that. I mean, probably one of the most convoluted things I ever did in CG was the space battle scenes from Assault on Mechas 3, where you see all of those lasers. Those are all particle systems. And, and literally there was actual programming that went into it, and this made me want to bash my head against a wall. It drove me nuts. Basically, you know, upon collision with an enemy ship, the particles would die. They would just disappear. I wasn't able to quite get an explosion to be instantiated in their place. That's my next goal for those kind of procedurally generated space battles. But there's a lot that goes into making something as grandiose as that. I will say that.
Yeah. I'm not, you know, downplaying that in the slightest, but I just personally prefer the physical charm that stop motion has as compared to the computerized look that CGI has. And you know, I think it has its place even in brick films, but I think if you can do it physically, then push the boundaries and do it physically rather than resorting to something you can do on a computer.
Right.
Yeah, I think compositing is where I draw the line. Because again, you know, somebody like Brotherhood Workshop does a ton of composited stuff for his brick films, and you know, again, all of that is, you know, he'll take a frame and he'll cut it up in After Effects, and you know, he'll use that as a ship flying around in his scene.
Yeah, and that's how that work crank out trailer.
Why not just do it quickly? Because I think it looks better in CG because you get a little bit more perspective, and you know, and more realism that way. So I think that's where I draw the line. But there should always, I think, be some stop motion in a brick film, because I think at the end of the day, you know, that's where it started. That's what we've all come to think of it as. But,
well, a brick film in and of itself is stop motion. That's the way that the medium works. Yeah, now, compositing, I feel like, really cheats the system. And one thing that does drive me nuts is trailer recreations. Minus Beta Bricks Caleb, his was awesome. Because all they do is composite. Like, guys, can you please animate this?
Yeah,
but, you know,
I think part of the reason for that is that they're really rushed out.
Yeah,
because, you know, a trailer release is like 6 to 3 months ahead of a film.
Yeah, and you got to crank on that if you
all that time to put it together.
Plus, the whole thing with trailer recreations is it's unfortunately the case that it's the first one to produce it gets the most views.
Yeah, well, that's another topic for another day. But
if you're gonna composite, do it right. Brotherhood Workshop and, you know, the guys that worked on the Rogue One trailer recreation, that's another one I would not dare to knock, because, you know, only when you watch the effects reel do you understand just how much of it was composite.
Yeah,
right.
And I guess the overall lesson of any of these discussions is don't bash someone until you know the process. Then maybe bash aspects of the process. Maybe.
Yeah, well, let me ask
2015 flashbacks.
Would you guys ever consider, if you had the time and the patience, would you guys ever consider making like a full CGI brick film like Dino 5500?
I would say no, because if I'm doing CGI at that point, I'd want to try a different animation style.
The thing is, with animating ships and static objects is one thing, but trying to build a minifigure model and animate that would be so much of a headache, and the whole time I would just be sat there thinking this would be so much easier just to do physically in stop motion.
Exactly.
So I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's one thing to just be animating ships flying around, because again, like you said, they're static objects. But the process for creating and rigging up a 3D character that has all kinds of poses and movements, that's where CG animation really gets challenging. And oftentimes, you know, on big budget projects, you know, you have tons of people working on the same character to speed up the process.
Although, you know, even with ships, I mean, I'm not sure I'd want to do it in CGI per se. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Tom. Maybe another project. You guys watch Interstellar, right?
Yes. Love it.
First off, favorite movie of all time for so many reasons. Secondly, I just linked a behind-the-scenes detail of the effects for the Endurance, the massive circular ship. And that was an actual model. Here's a picture of a guy standing on a ladder next to this big old model of the Endurance. And they spin this thing around for all the shots, and where I was convinced it was CGI in the movie, it was an actual ship. And it hit me that, wow, the lighting they pull, like when you have the lens flare and the sun just directly hits off of the gaps of the ship and really blinds you, but the next portion of the ship closes over it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Because like,
Yep, which is why I agree with you, Shorma. Hands down.
you don't have to like do everything absolutely. Like you don't have. It doesn't have to be all CGI. And in the same breath, it doesn't have to be a completely traditional brick film. You could have a physical model of a ship, and there be CGI elements, but it will still retain the physical look of a real ship.
Yeah, I call that practical CGI.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because if I'm doing this idea with the Endurance, the practical CGI I'm going to put in is the stars. I'm not going to animate the stars in all of space and Lego. It's not going to look good.
Yeah, like in terms of practical CGI, I think a good example of that I worked on were the 3D gunships that you see flying past in the opening shots of 0 Hour. Those I took extra care to to modify the materials used on those objects so that they looked realistic, and of course the volumetric lighting provided by the HDRI Sky Dome that I used there really helps with photorealism. Like that's the best kind of lighting that you can get, really. So I could have shot my Republic gunship against a green screen, but personally, I think in comparison it would have looked like crap because with the nice little addition of depth of field on those gunships, they people do a double take when they look at those, and that's what I love about it. Is when people can't tell, wait, were those real? And because they're running at the same frame rate, 15 FPS, as the stop motion, it just looks like another part of the scene.
Yeah.
And it distracts you from kind of the horizon line that unfortunately I wasn't able to get to kind of keep going continuously.
But see, boom, there you go. There's an example where you CGI and you do it so people don't notice those details.
And again, I could have used compositing, which I think would kind of fall on the line, with more classical approaches to brick filming. But I'm glad I went about the way I did doing it because it just looks better, if you ask me.
Understandable.
Yep, and you have the resources to pull off CGI in a decently convincing way. So may as well in that aspect because you know the strengths and weaknesses of it. That's actually really how it is in any medium. You have to know the strengths of what you're using and where things can go wrong.
I mean, I guess the moral behind it is it's just another tool in the toolbox, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's like it's another element you can add to your art, I suppose. Your art ammo crate, I guess.
Oh, dude,
that's
Rogue One. That was, I mean,
I think we now have to talk about Rogue One.
yeah, I know. This is off topic, but yeah, I guess if you didn't, I'd like to think if you didn't know that was a CG character, you could get away with it, and that is crazy to me. That the amount of progress they've made at ILM to be able to recreate someone like that. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but it's almost more impressive to watch than a person because especially when you do CGI for your own films, and we'll break films here. You know what I'm saying? When you can't really watch films in the same way again because you're just sort of looking to see.
And personally, personally, I really like the use of the CG characters because, well, I mean, let's be honest, guys. At this point, like, as far as Disney goes about recasting characters who can no longer be played by their original actors, in the case of Solo, how did they miss that one guy who looks and sounds exactly like Harrison Ford?
Oh man,
don't get me started.
I'll never end.
They casted like Alden or something in his place.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to rip on the current actor. He might do a good job, but I mean, just like if you're really trying to stick to continuity here, what went wrong there with that process?
Guys, I'm gonna have to head out actually.
Let's get down here.
Thanks for your input.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Take it easy, man. God bless.
See you around.
Have a good one.
Right. See you guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Anyways.
So
CGI faces and CGI places.
CGI shades. Hey, that should be the title of the video, Chris.
Okay, I'm changing that right now. Up next, the Frame100 podcast. Oh, great! Now we're naming our podcast like TTV does. They pick the phrase that was the funniest and then just run with it. What have we done?
It's not a terrible way to do it.
It's not the worst, but now I feel like we're ripping people off. In that case, let's keep going.
Well,
we're doing a
we
great
flatter
job,
them.
guys.
We flatter them.
There we go. So for all of you watching, you should be able to refresh now. It'll kill our view count, but you'll see the new title. Yay!
On an unrelated topic. Well, I mean, it's still brick film topic. Brick are doing another brick filming day. I see.
Yep, Brick Film Day has been starting to get organized, and I'm like, thanks guys for advertising it this time.
Oh yeah.
Which let's
when it's a Star Wars themed one, isn't it?
Yeah,
When?
it's let me talk about this because I know about it.
Oh, here we go. Got the man.
Let's see. On February 10th, they held Brick Film Day 2018, and this year, I believe on Friday, May 4th, and Friday, May 25th, both those days they'll be doing a Lego Star Wars Celebration Day for those 2 days. So if you contact let's see his email brickfilmday@gmail.com and ask if you can participate in the Lego Star Wars days, he should be able to email you back and let you know.
Yep.
It'll be a fun day.
When is it? May the 4th, May the 5th?
May the 4th and May 25th. So it's Star Wars Day and the release date of Solo.
Maybe, just maybe.
Speaking of which, I think Lego should be having like double VIP points going on that weekend as well. So
oh dang,
yeah,
if you can, maybe hold off on those Solo set purchases until then.
I think
it's
like
up your local Lego store if you have one.
I think if hang in there later. I don't want you buying all those Jawas ahead of time.
I don't want to again go off topic, but how do we feel about the May the 4th Lego promotional stuff these days? It used to be way cooler, didn't it?
Anything involving Star Wars these days seems to be how much money can we crank out for a little effort?
Chris, he sounds a bit silly to that.
I mean, I'm just glad it wasn't something stupid like a Porg.
Yeah, or
what did it end up being?
One year there was Han Solo.
The Porg in a poly bag, and they'll call it a day.
No, the worst one.
It is a BB-8. Oh my god, like for real, like they keep pushing all the cutesy stuff, man. Like, and even after everyone's called them out on it like 1,000 times over. Porgs and BB-8.
It's what sells. I'm telling you.
Man, and maybe poor R2 being forced to take a back seat.
That's how we get more brick films.
To be fair, I watched the
comments. May 4th is the day she made her first brick film. You know what, Lainey? Here's what you do. May 4th, make a video with just Porgs and BB-8. You'll rake in the views.
You will rise to the top of the YouTube homepage.
I delete my channel before I do that. I can't.
Guys, I got it. We'll call it Lego Porg BB-8 School Gym Fail. She releases that, boom, yes. Billions of views.
Or do some kind of meme thing like Trev. That was great. Yeah, he still bemoans the fact
Trev feels so mixed about that video. It's so funny.
Yeah, that film's doing better than
anything we've ever done.
Life. That's terrible.
It seems to be fixed. Well, there we go. Later today, you're getting free brick film consulting. So here's your consultation: Porgs, BB-8, and memes. Can you do it?
Okay. Oh my gosh!
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, not what they need. None of that.
What they want.
Henry Ford. He was just. He didn't mean it when he said that if he asked people what they wanted, they asked for faster horses. Faster horses are great. Cuter Porgs are great. Goodness gracious! You guys got me on a rant now.
Let me go back to Gareth's trailer and just say that, dude, it's really good, and I'm super pumped to see it whenever it comes out. Because the reason I brick film is because when I saw Squad 42 for the first time, and that really brought me into it. So it's really cool to see him back doing what he loves, and doing Squad 42 once again.
Yeah, and
But you guys want to give
it's
us a
weird
full-on
because-
analysis like we usually do? Because I feel like it deserves that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
I'd love to talk
Also-
about it.
Did we get a link
Also,
to
the
that
whole
yet?
thing with
Let's get a
Gareth-
link to that in here if we haven't already.
I believe I
think
did,
Gareth's-
but it's worth linking again.
Gareth's
Yeah, for
probably
real. One of the
Gareth
things
said-
about this is just that, like, it may be a completely CG film, but at the same time,
It looks so
is
good.
a sequel to a beloved series of brick
And lest
films.
we forget this guy, particularly from my perspective, and I imagine from a lot of your perspectives, he is the best at CGI in brick films. Full stop. I believe.
I'm with you on
and
that. I'm with you.
He has been.
It's been a while since he's really done a whole lot. So I'm seriously eager to see how far he's come with this. Like, this is going to show.
Yeah,
all
but, I mean,
his
even
skills.
those tiny videos he made over the summer, I think it was like 2015 or something, of just like the Separatist destroyer and the gunship flying past, and you just look at that.
Oh
and you
man,
just,
yeah.
damn,
Like, he threw that destroyer together like it was nothing. Like, figuring out how to do those particle lasers
Turrets
like
and
took me an
stuff, yeah.
eternity.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We
It's like,
gotta
wham,
get this
bam,
guy
thank you,
on
ma'am.
for an interview
So
sometime.
if there was ever a guy to do a full CGI Star Wars brick film, I think Gareth's the guy.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Particularly with something like Squad 42.
And it's like
Very well
the
done.
lighting and the cinematography is just so much different than anything else I've ever seen CGI brick film wise, and it just looks really freaking good. And I'm super pumped.
You want to know one of the main things that's standing out to me right now that makes this work? Lighting noise. You see the little bits of noise around the lights? That stands out from the other stuff we've seen so far because it feels like when I actually have my webcam in a dark Lego brick film set. That's what's selling it for me
That's
right now.
interesting because, I think I might have asked him about it once, and I'm not sure I got an answer. I couldn't figure out why it looks like that. What I think that has to do with, it might be that he chose it to do that for stylization reasons, but I think it's more likely just that it sped up the render time to decrease the sample count.
Mm.
The way ray tracing works, that style of rendering, more samples is kind of a higher resolution picture that you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think that it's stylization because I don't like things being too glossy.
Yeah, and I know Gareth.
I like adding that faded film.
farm. So render times shouldn't be too much of a concern for him. It's just, using up all available memory on said render farm is concerning.
And I think it reminds me of that, that old film look, and it gives it that old film grain to it, and that old, nostalgia factor to.
I think that's something very satisfying. Like grain is one of those things that's quite annoying when you make like a video on your phone, but when you're watching a film, that little bit of film grain,
it adds a lot.
Grain is great when controlled.
Yeah.
Like I know you have to have dealt with this at some point, Lainey. Have you ever had it like with the smartphone stop motion app where it just kind of creates this strange little static effect?
Oh yeah.
That is just the worst because you can't control it.
Yeah. It's definitely not good. It's tough.
I see you just burning with rage right now. Like, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
It's like lens flares. Lens flares are enough. I think I've got some lens flares on my head. That's another one of those classic. When used in the correct form.
When used right, because you can get over the top like J.J. Abrams and Star Trek, or
Star Trek is
you can get like any other film, pretty much.
Indeed. Which, SWAT 42, there was actually a little bit of flare on there, but
the
it was
lighting
enough
looks
to
so good.
enhance it, and not enough to make you go, oh my goodness, JJ, go away, please.
The shot where I don't remember which trooper is it, but he has like a rifle and he's like in a dark red room, and you.
Oh, and he's like mounted like a sniper.
Are you talking about Sev?
I don't know the name. I need to go back and watch.
That's the thing. Squad 42 looks like Delta Squad, but
I've just made
allegedly the
connection.
designs are not exactly the same as Delta. Because I asked Gareth if I could borrow the model that he used for that for 0 Hour because I wanted to do a CG shot of Boss in the gunship. But he's just like, well, you'd have to ask Tyler for that directly because it's it's a different model, it's a different texture, so it's not quite the same. And I do like that. I do appreciate that.
Nice.
See, now I gotta watch all the Squad 42 stuff so I can understand.
Dude,
There's
so much
some
nostalgia.
nuance here that I'm not getting. I'm gonna assign myself homework this time.
Yeah, I just love the way that he's recreated like the Coruscant underworld here. With all of the neon lighting, it's just really cool.
They
like you won't find anything like this anywhere.
Did the voices in Squad 42 used to be really high pitched, or am I?
They were high pitched in the originals, but then he recast all the roles for the remastered versions.
Okay, nice.
4 and 5.
George Lucas did.
Yeah, right.
Whoa, slow down there. Yeah, a little out of
Nice.
hand. Oh, Jared has returned.
Sorry,
Jared
internet
left.
died.
Did you just go out for revenge? Be it down? Come
Yeah,
back?
it
Work. Excellent.
left.
Yeah.
Just have new birds now.
Usually that's my Wi-Fi that likes to quit on me during
Take no
important things like
prisoners.
this.
There we go. Honestly, I think the moral of this entire podcast conversation is any tool works great when you know when to use it, when you use it in moderation. It's kind of just a general thing about life.
It's kind of like the film versus digital debate. It's something kind of, hard to talk over, hard to what to use and, what not to use and what is right and what is not right. It's just one of those debates, I guess.
Another thing I think with CGI, which is not so prominent when they're minifigures, but more prominent when you've got big ships, is there's quite a big difference between not the quality of scale. By that I mean that if you build like the mini Star Destroyers and use that, it won't look as good as if you build a Star Destroyer, not necessarily to minifigure scale, but with a lot more pieces, like a UCS Star Destroyer, because the studs will be smaller. And I think that is a big difference between people that are starting out with CGI. And obviously the core of this is because the smaller models take up less computing power, so they're easier to animate with. But I don't really know where I'm going with this. I guess, just that's another thing with CGI.
It's a hard talk.
If you can get the big models, I think it looks good. Whereas if you use the smaller models, maybe you could find a way to do it practically, potentially.
Yep. I think it really depends. Well, honestly, what I want to do now, I want to try and see if I can do some sort of live action big ship scene, like an Interstellar. I want to compare to either you, Matt, or you, Tom, and see what you do with CGI effect. Which would be pretty fun.
What we should do like a mini Frame100 contest where we draw out a storyboard, really simple effects, and we say, okay, you could have like a plane or something flying past the camera, and you can say, right guys, make it in whatever medium you want, whether it be like in Blender or if it physically, just compare the results. That might be quite an interesting thing to do.
Maybe we can compare the results on a podcast sometime. Well, right about now we need to start wrapping things up. We're getting towards the end point, and people need us in like 1,000 different directions for all kinds of brick filming stuff and non-brick filming stuff, and etc. This is also just me saying I need to go do homework. I'm kidding. Yeah, if you hear me say I'm canceling a podcast over homework, assume that I am being taken hostage and someone stole all my Lego.
That's the code word. Okay.
Thanks, guys. But yeah, we should be wrapping things up in a little bit. I guess moral of the story: know your tools, know when to use them. Don't use them wrong if you can.
And don't let anyone discourage you from using those tools.
Yes.
And trying new tools out. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's like progressing through failure is the best way to progress, I guess.
Failure is the best teacher.
There you go. I knew Yoda was.
That's some knowledge right there.
Knowledge.
Cool. Well, Tom, you want to take us out?
Okay. Do we individually have any announcements we want to make at
Oh
all?
wait, if we have a Google form that you should
thank
fill
you.
out in case you guys want to become a guest on our show. So someone can link this in the chat somewhere. It's just a simple Google form where you fill out your information and we look at it
It's
and
linked in the description.
stuff like that. So check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. We've had quite a few forms in, I believe.
Yeah,
I will
we've had
admit
about
one of them was me.
9 or 10, excluding
But,
Tom's.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just
We had to get rid of that one. We're like, who's this Tom guy? Get him out of here.
Oh, I deleted it. It's gone.
Hopefully we never hear from him again.
All right, guys. I guess we'll roll things down. I don't know what the topic will be next week. I don't know what guests we'll have, but maybe
We'll figure it out on the fly.
we'll have some 8x8 results. Although they've had quite a lot more entries this year than they did last year, so I'm not going to hold them to their 2-week suggestion.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
Chris,
have 2 fantastic entries from the Frame. Well, no, 3 fantastic entries from the Frame100 crew this time around.
Yeah, Matt, I was going to say Chris's wasn't.
Yeah, I haven't seen Chris's yet. I have to go take a look at that.
Careful, it'll
Definitely
get
not.
stuck in your head. It'll get stuck in your
Let's be real. I think Tom's going to take first place. I'm
Oh,
pretty
let's
sure.
just give a big round of applause to Tom for getting Brick Film of the Week on
Oh,
brickfilms.com.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Nicely done.
I was so gutted. I almost missed that because I saw that tweet like a day later because they didn't tag my account in it. I was just scrolling away in my lecture, which
Oh.
Yeah, I believe.
I just scroll Twitter in your lectures.
Oh yeah, you
I
can
was like-
link your Twitter on on your Brickback page, so that might be helpful to do.
Oh yeah.
And also a big congrats to Trevor, who is not here. Bricks in Motion posted his film Ripped Away on Facebook and I think Twitter as well as like a
Yeah.
brick film to watch.
Good job, T-Rev.
I like the
that's
voice
cool to
acting.
see.
Woo!
It's good. Good.
Yep.
It's whatever. It's not that
It
great.
is
But.
awesome. I love this community. This community's great.
So yeah,
Yep, wrap us up, Tom.
gonna wrap us down. So this has been another fun filled, a little bit of a slower, more chilled out episode this week. Me and Chris have been enjoying our tea. I am now out of tea, so that must
Same
mean
here.
that the episode is coming to a close. It's season 3, episode 9. We've been joined by Shawarma, who had to leave earlier, and Lainey.
Who is never talking.
We'll
Never
Stop
saying a word.
blaming.
That's 10 words total, Laner.
bring you out of your shell yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, that's fun.
CGI is scary. We don't blame you.
Hello, co-host. Matt
You're Jared.
at Brick Studios, Chris at Goldbrick Productions, and Jared at DoBrick,
Thank
one
you.
and only, and myself, Tom at Scorch Bricks. So this has been fun, guys. It's been chill, and we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Maybe same host, maybe different hosts, maybe different topics, probably different topics. Have a good week, everyone.
Peace out.
See you guys.
See you guys. God bless.
Adios.